This is the GoreTV podcast with your hosts Valentine and Sebastian Castellanos. Let's get into the show.
All right, so you know that urge to just escape, like get away to a tropical island.
Oh, yeah.
Sun, sand, crystal clear water.
Sounds nice.
And then throw in a bunch of zombies trying to eat your brains.
There's always a catch.
Right. But hey, that's the setup for Dead Island, and today's deep dive, we're going full-on zombie mode.
All right, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Not just playing the games, but like really digging into how they were made, the whole story.
Behind the scenes, the good stuff.
Exactly. And to help us survive this trip down memory lane, we've got expert speaker joining us.
You could say I've analyzed one too many zombie outbreaks in my day.
So no tropical vacations for you then.
Only if I've got a sturdy weapon and a good strategy. You know how it is.
I like your style. Our listener this time around, they're fascinated by Dead Island. Like how it went from this, cult classic to
what it became. Yeah, it's a journey.
Exactly. But first, let's rewind way back to 2011. What was it about that first Dead Island that grabbed people?
It was clever, the setting, right? Banoi. It was this whole Paradise Lost thing.
Oh, yeah, the irony.
You're on this beautiful island, should be relaxing, sipping cocktails, and suddenly, bam, zombies.
The vacation from hell.
Exactly. That juxtaposition, right? The familiar, but it's twisted, horrifying. People, they ate that up.
And that trailer, oh, man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, I think it was, like 2010 when it came out?
Yeah, something like that.
It blew everyone away. Rewinding time, showing the family, those last moments before the outbreak gave me chills.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about the scares. It was emotional, You felt for those characters.
Set the tone, right? Like it wasn't just going to be another zombie shooter. It felt tense, gritty, real.
Yeah, you really got the sense that this was about survival. Like desperate survival. You weren't just mowing down hordes of zombies. You were scavenging, building weapons out of whatever you could find.
It really tapped into that whole, crafting craze that was just starting to take off, too.
Oh, for sure.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
2011, it was like the golden age of that grounded, realistic horror.
Absolutely. Dead Space, Amnesia, those games were huge. Dead Island, it had its own thing going on, but it fit right in with that vibe.
So you've got this hit game, fans are loving it. You'd think a sequel would be a no-brainer.
Right. So, yeah.
But our sources are telling a different story. The road to Dead Island 2, it's
a bumpy one.
It's a horror story in itself, honestly.
It's true. It's fascinating how messy game development can be, especially with all these expectations,
Where do we even begin with this saga? I mean, the source material mentions Techland, the original devs. They moved on, had their own zombie success with Dying Light.
Right, and that's where it gets interesting. Dead Island 2, it became this blank canvas, right?
Yeah.
This almost mythical project bounced between studios.
So each team, they're coming in with their own ideas, trying to figure out what to do with it. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so fascinating to me. It wasn't just about replicating the success of the first game. They were trying to evolve it.
But in the meantime, the fans, they're left in the dark, right? Wondering if this game even exists.
It was like this whispered legend. Dead Island 2, trapped in development hell.
The anticipation must have been insane.
Oh, absolutely. And there was this one version, right, in development between 2012 and 2015.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about this.
It was supposed to be set in California. There were even some early trailers, gameplay footage that leaked online.
Which is where GoreTV comes in, right? That deep dive they did, it's like a whole documentary at this point.
Oh, for sure. They've done some amazing work digging up all these details, analyzing everything.
So what happened? Why didn't that version ever come out?
Well, from what I gather, the studio at the time, Yager Development, they ran into some issues. And Deep Silver, the publisher, they decided to make a change. It's like Dead Island 2 went into hiding for a while.
Right. Like you'd think with all the hype, there'd be leaks everywhere.
Exactly.
But this thing, it was like a ghost story.
And then, out of nowhere, Dambuster Studios swoops in.
Our zombie-slaying heroes.
Exactly. And they're like, we got this.
This is around 2019, right?
Yeah, 2019, something like that.
So what was it about Dambuster? What made them the right fit for this, this project that just couldn't die?
I don't know if it was about being the right fit. It was more like the whole horror scene had changed.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Think about it. 2011, it was all about that gritty, realistic horror.
Right. Like we were saying before.
Exactly. But by 2019, horror was ready for something new.
Okay, so what changed?
I think audiences, we kind of got tired of taking horror so seriously, you know?
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, we'd seen it all. We needed something more.
More. Over the top.
Yeah. Gore, humor, the works.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Right. And Dambuster, they got it. They weren't afraid to have some fun with it, you know?
Make it their own.
Exactly.
And what better place to do that than, well, the City of Angels?
Right. They scrap that California idea from before, and they go all in on Los Angeles.
Or, as they call it in the game,
Hell.
genius.
Right.
I mean, LA, it's already got that whole vibe, you know?
Yeah.
The personalities, the landmarks.
And GoreTV made a good point about that, actually, how Dambuster used the setting.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just a backdrop. It's practically a character.
Oh, I like that.
You're fighting zombies on the beach, in those Hollywood Hills mansions. Even on the Santa Monica Pier.
Okay, that's awesome. They really leaned into it.
Oh, absolutely. And the zombies themselves. Total makeover.
Okay, this is where Dead Island 2 really goes full Splatterpunk, right?
I got that.
So, for those of us who might have missed that memo, what exactly is Splatterpunk?
Okay, imagine this. Horror, but it's in your face. Gore, guts, the whole shebang.
Okay, intense.
But there's also this dark humor to it.
Okay, I can get behind that.
It's like, yeah, this is messed up, but we're going to have fun with it.
Right. So how does Dead Island 2 do that? How does it really bring that Splatterpunk vibe?
Remember that system I mentioned before?
The FLE summary.
FLE, as in...
Fully Locational Evisceration System for Humanoids.
You're kidding me. They actually call it that.
Dead serious!
That's incredible. But what does it actually do?
Okay, so this isn't just your average zombie dismemberment, right?
Okay, so what are we talking?
We're talking you target specific limbs, you exploit weaknesses.
Yeah.
It's strategic, but brutal.
And the game rewards you for it.
Oh, yeah. The gorier, the better.
Okay, now that is how you do a sequel. They didn't hold back.
They took everything people loved about the first game, and they just turned it up to 11.
So it's not just a reskin. They really thought about this.
Absolutely. Dead Island 2 has a soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. So we've got the setting, the gore, but what about the actual gameplay? How does it compare to the original?
It's still Dead Island at its core, you know, first-person melee combat, all that good stuff.
Crafting, too, right? People love that.
Oh, totally. But it's like they injected it with something new, you know? Gave it this energy. So it's faster, more action-packed.
Yeah. Like the first Dead Island, it was all about atmosphere, being stranded, scavenging for scraps.
You felt vulnerable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Dead Island 2 is like, here's a chainsaw and a flamethrower, go nuts.
I'm into it.
It's a different approach, but it just works. And like GoreTV had this theory about it.
Oh, yeah?
They're saying it reflects how horror's changed.
Makes sense.
Like back in 2011, realism was huge. But by 2019... audiences had seen it all.
We needed something more.
Exactly. We needed that dark humor, the over-the-top stuff.
And Dead Island 2 just goes for it.
Oh, yeah. It's self-aware, but not in a way that ruins the scares.
So it's a balancing act.
Right. It's like you're grossed out one second, then laughing the next.
Which, in LA, probably happens on a daily basis anyway.
Probably. But that's what I love about Dead Island 2. It knows exactly what it is.
It's confident.
Exactly. And after a decade of development, hell, that's saying something.
This game really did come back from the dead.
The most persistent zombie ever.
So 2 games, 2 very different flavors of zombie apocalypse. What should our listener check out to really get a feel for this evolution?
The trailers, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Why the trailers?
It's not even just the visuals, though. Those are wild. Pay attention to the music, the editing, how they build tension or how they just embrace the chaos.
It's amazing how much you can tell from a good trailer.
Right. And in this case, they tell the story of how horror's changed right alongside Dead Island.
It's like a mini deep dive on its own.
Exactly. Speaking of which, I think we've survived this deep dive.
I'd say so. Big thanks to you for being our zombie survival guide today.
Anytime. Just maybe avoid those tropical islands for a while.
Oh, you got it. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this trip to Dead Island. Stay curious out there and maybe keep a weapon handy, just in case.
Let's get into the show.